Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about levels of canon for Dungeons and Dragons. And today we're going to talk about non-canon, okay? Level NC, non-canon. Things that are not canon to Dungeons and Dragons. Now, what's surprising is it's actually getting harder and harder to not have any canon. For your intellectual property to not have any canon in Dungeons and Dragons. And this is why we're talking today. I am convinced literally hundreds of intellectual properties do not know that their material is canon to Dungeons and Dragons because of how Dungeons and Dragons has approached the multiverse and being one of the first in the multiverse space, and then the way they've handled their intellectual property being connected to other intellectual property is completely unprecedented. There's nothing like it, genuinely. All right. Okay, so let's talk about, so I'm going to give an example. So what is non-canon? It means that your intellectual property has no connections to Dungeons and Dragons. And this is increasingly more difficult, right? But there are some examples. So let me give you an example. Gossip Girl. Okay, it's a television show, and it has zero connections to Dungeons and Dragons. Gossip Girl is not connected to Dungeons and Dragons in any way. It is non-canon to Dungeons and Dragons, right? And there are others like this, right? But it's important to understand that there are still a few intellectual properties, and that number is growing smaller and smaller and smaller every single day, right? That it's kind of like Kevin Bacon, but there are a few, right? So Gossip Girl is non-canon to Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean it will never be canon to Dungeons and Dragons. It just means it's not canon to Dungeons and Dragons yet, right? So that is Dungeons and Dragons level of canon, non-canon level NC. In my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.